Okay, so this is the final tool in this series about building relationship skills. And I'm going to be talking about Google Forms. And I'm going to try to do it quicker than I normally do because there's just so many things you can do with Google Forms and in the spreadsheets and that kind of stuff. But I'm going to just give you a basic beginner's intro to Google Forms, and then some of the other videos in our YouTube series, you can reference those to learn more details about how to do some of these more advanced things in Google Forms. So I plan on showing you just how to build the questions that I talked about in the circle time sharing. So if I build a form and then have the students fill it out, then we can use that for the students to build relationships, to get to know each other through the share time, circle time. Okay, so based on all the videos that I've introduced Google Forms, I access all of the Google tools through my Google Drive. So right now I'm in my Google Drive, I'm logged in, and I'm gonna find the folder that I wanna put it in, practice Google Form. Maybe I'm gonna put it in my YouTube practice folder, but I've navigated to that folder, and now I'm just gonna go new, more, and then Google Form is down here. And that's how I do it normally to keep things organized. You can also go to the checkerboard and scroll down a little ways, and Google Forms is there. Yours may be higher up. I don't pin our apps. I don't move them up and down that checkerboard. But when you go here, you can do blank quiz, which is associated with Google Classroom, or just creating a quiz that's going to automatically grade. And then they have all of these templates that you can go to, exit ticket assessment worksheet. The one that we wanted to do was circle time information. So basically all you have to do is put in some basic questions that'll ask the students information about themselves to be able to share during circle time. Now also in the Google Drive area, when I create a new one, I can do from blank, or I can do from template as well. I usually just click it, create and share, and then it opens up that blank document. I always name it. I'm gonna click right here and do it. Circle time information. And then if I click up here, it automatically name it whatever I named it down here. I can put a description in here. Over here is my palette. I can add questions, import questions, add a title or description. So if I wanted to just add a title right there, more about you. Okay, and that's just a title, whereas down here, this is a section, and you can do more things with it. If I put the section in, it's going to recognize it as a separate page when I finally present it. More about you. So I'm going to delete this one, and all I have to do is click on it, hit delete, but that was the text title option. I can also add images, videos. The sections are just going to break up the questions. So I'm going to put at home, and then I can create another section underneath this one. And I always click the next thing if I want it underneath it. So now it went here, question, and then I put the section underneath it, and more about you at school. So in this question, I can put my favorite room is, and then we could make that a short answer. We could also give them some options. Over here, we can change it. And you saw that it flipped over to short answer as soon as it recognized that I was just going to have them enter information. But we can do short answer and paragraph. Those are the ones that can't be graded as easily. Definitely paragraph can't be graded through the quiz option. Short answer can be if you give it enough options to grade on. But if the kids misspell something or put it in a different order than what you do, then it's going to be marked wrong. Multiple choice, I could have said, my favorite room is my bedroom, the kitchen, the rec room, none, outside, other. And then they could put that they have a basement and that's their favorite room. Same thing with check boxes. If you want them to choose more than one The drop down will be the same as multiple choice, but it'll drop it down in a series of questions and you can only choose one. You could have them upload a file to share with everybody. We can do that a little bit. And then linear scale, like how do you feel about the field trip that we're taking to the recycling place in town. And then multiple choice grid allows you to select different things in a chart. Checkbox grid allows you to check things based on column options. So if I want, I give all these options of characters, or let's stick with my example of circle time sharing, we could put foods and then select yes for the foods you like and select no for the foods you don't like. And then we could put chicken, pizza, hamburgers, hot dogs, and whatnot. So those are the options for the questions. Date and time are also in there, and that's usually to generate information based on form entry and that kind of stuff as well. Okay, so more about you at home. I can add another question up here, and it's just going to put it below the one I was just working on. So my favorite room is when on weekends I like to, and then do homework, ride my bike, watch TV, play video games, hang out with my sister / brother, play a musical instrument. And I could just keep putting options down there. And I just wanted to show you what it looks like based on multiple choice, drop down, and checkbox. So if I go up here to the top, and this is something that we're not going to cover today, it's something a little more advanced. This is how I can make the color differently. This is how I preview it to see what it looks like. So on that, I already put a section. I should have put a question in between circle time information, but when I hit next, it goes on to circle time information, more about me, right there, more about you at home. My favorite room is, and I can fill that in. And then this is what multiple choice looks like. And it only allows me to select one. So I'm going to go back and change that to drop down. And now I'm going to go preview it with the eyeball. I need to put something there so you understand why it's doing that. Here's the first section, and you can see that my second section isn't there yet. And right here it is, what kind of things do I like to do? Select only one. And then the last is a drop down, checkbox. So when I go to preview, next, and there it is, and so I can select more than one. So the reason that it's going here and doing that, because this is considered a page, this is considered a page, then this is considered a page. So I'm going to go up here, click on that, and I know I'm there because it's got blue on the side, and I'm going to create a question in there, and I'm going to make this one checkbox. Now I'm going to make it short answer because it's at the beginning, and I'm going to ask for their name because we want to make sure that we ask them who they are. We could also, in the settings up here in this gear, we could collect email addresses, which will force them to log in. And then here, I've only restricted it to NWOET users. I need to turn that off if I'm going to give it to someone outside my organization. Presentation, it'll show the progress bar, how they move along through it. It'll say you're almost done, 30%, 40%. I can mix up the questions, which I don't want to, but I can get tricky in a quiz. This is just circle time, collecting answers, and show link to submit another response. Maybe they have, I have it in a station in the room where I have the kids walking up and just completing it. And then here's where I put the message. The default is your response has been recorded. It's not too super important with students, so I usually, for adults, put more information in there, like contact me at sanders@nwet.org or something of that sort. This is how you make it a quiz. If you make it a quiz, then you're expected to have points, value for each question and the right answer. So I'm going to save that. Oh, it's collecting email address. I'm fine with that. And then I have their name here. I could add another question after this one. Which grade? I don't know. So maybe we're going to do this with a bunch of classrooms. So we can put first, second, third, and so on. And so they can select which grade they're in. We might want to make that drop down because we're going to have a long list of them. More about you. I'm going to click on it so that that blue's next to it, and then I'm going to hit new question. It's just going to put a question below it. More about you at school. Favorite subjects. And then I can make that checkbox because I'll have the option of choosing more than one because I can like more than one, but I can also just choose the one singular class that I like. All right, so that's the basics of creating a form. You just, I usually do it in a linear fashion. I start at the top, give it a title. If I want personal information about them, I put that at the top as well. Collecting email addresses, because sometimes you want their email address, but if you're doing this with students, you just probably want names, so you can do, decide who's who, tell the difference between whose entry is whose, and then I put which grade in that basic circle time information. More about you at home, collecting that information as I go. Now, when looking at responses, you can look in here for responses, and it'll give me 3 ways to look at responses. So let's fill this out quickly to see what it's going to look like. Okay, so I have responded to it twice, and in here we can see that who has responded, and I put the same email twice so you can see if you ever have a parenthesis and a number, that means that person has entered more than once, and sometimes it'll collect that stuff. So I'm in regular summary. Somehow it switched to individual. Oh, I think because I clicked on this one. Gives me their name. So all of the entries will be here. So if you have 50, 60 entries, it's going to have a list of 60 for name, list of 60 things for email, and so on. So I can see that 50% of them are in the 2nd grade and the other 50% are in the 1st grade. And then more about me. My favorite room is bedroom, and the other one said kitchen. And then you have a little graph based on the check boxes. But that's how you see your responses based on entry. Like this is a checkbox question. This is a checkbox question. This is a, I think it was a fill in the blank. This one is a drop down or a multiple choice. So you can see how they look up there. And then I like being able to look at it by question. So if I see that a lot of people are, if I'm doing a regular assessment, are missing the same thing, I can go in and see all the responses and how they compare to the other students, and then you can go through each question up here. And then I can hit individual, so I can go to the drop down and see how each person responded. So another way to look at responses would be on the Google Sheet. There's a spreadsheet that it'll allow you to look at. So I have not created that yet, but as soon as I click on this icon, create a new spreadsheet, I'm going to hit create. And then it's going to open a brand new tab with the spreadsheet, and it's going to have all the information in the spreadsheet organization for it. So the one thing that I like the spreadsheet for, besides super advanced stuff, I like the fact that if I get responses, I can sort them based on what has been entered. So if I wanted to have all the 1st graders offer their circle time information, then I could, through these entries, go up here and sort A to Z, and then it'll put everybody together. I can sort things by, okay, so like rate, for instance, here. So here's a whole bunch of information kind of sorted, but I'm going to sort it again, and you're going to see that all entries that said 3rd to 6th grade, all entries that said high school, all the ones that said I don't need this topic, everything's together. So I can look at, oh, geez, I have this many people for the 12 to 1 session. Now you could do that same thing. Now you could do that same thing with your circle time information by sorting it based on things that you want to share. You don't want to have the same entries or answers to things, so maybe you want to have different people present based on their answers. So to make this available to the students, you can hit the send button. You could also have added it directly into your Google Classroom if you have a Google Classroom. I can get the link and put it in Schoology or Canvas or Edmodo or one of those tools. But I also can email it to individuals. That would probably take too long, so I'm probably just going to get the link. I always get a shortened link. And after it generates that short link, I copy it and then I place it on a website. I place it on a learning management system for the students to access. Okay, so that's Google Forms. I told you I was just going to do the basics. I'm surprised myself that I stuck to the basics. There are, again, some other videos in our YouTube playlist that will go into more detail with page breaks and reset destination and how to use some of the Google Sheet stuff. If you want to know more about some of these tools, for instance, if you do want me to go into more detail about some add-ons, just email me and I will go into whatever form of Google Forms you want, any different instructional perspective of it. But this one was just for social emotional, for collecting information to share. And this tool can be used at any level, just like all of them. I could make it work for self-awareness, self-management, social awareness. I just chose it for relationship skills because we wanted to enter things for students to share, to build relationships with teachers, with other students, with